to the music, let me share something with you. In 2014, I went to visit my brother Costa, who's here, and my sister Irene. And so in 2014, February, we had my husband, Bill, and Linda over at Costa's house in Vancouver. And so while Costa was, who was a great chef, by the way, would make the dinner for us, Bill was enough and said, let's go for a car ride. I'm going to take you out, take you for a ride. And we all said, oh, hey, let's go, Bill. So Bill, we get in our car, and he's driving us around, and soon enough, yes, Linda and Bill started singing Christian songs. My husband and I were in the back. We go, wow, this is great. So we're listening back, and we're listening to that, and we started turning. Just to hear Bill and Linda together. We were in awe, right? And out of this, Bill, who's driving, not knowing now, where am I going? where am I taking them? Right? What he thought was around town, we ended up at the airport, I believe, somewhere in White Rock. And my husband goes, oh, are you dropping us off? And so later he said, you know what, well, we're in White Rock now, so I'll show you where, Costa used to live and Costa's restaurant, and give it a little reminiscence down the road. Soon after, Bill would, Gus was worrying, Bill would call, oh, we're on our way home now. And Gus would say, well, Bill, where are you? He goes, well, we're in White Rock. Right? And so, back when we went home and we had the wonderful dinner and the wonderful conversations and the laughs again, well, I managed. It was such a great gathering. It told me for something to take this gathering, this family gathering. And the amazing stories and the laughter of that. And there I have Bill, and the laughter. And little did I know what I captured, that I'm going to hold on to, that I'm always going to share with my family, with my friends, or that's what it's all about, right? And so you all, thank you for your stories, and when you come up, I had, when you're telling me about the music, or his laughter, or, if Bill would go to California and visit my family, what would you do? He would open the Bible to us. Or at the dinner, he'd have the prayer for us. Okay? Or if I had conversation with Bill, I loved him so much. I started thinking to be a better person, to open to the Lord, and so if there was issues, maybe a family member or maybe a friend, I'd call Bill because I know how he would answer me. And at times if he wasn't available, I just said, what? Guess what? I'm going to take care of this by myself, and I know what Bill would tell me. Now, I have here, but in my own written words, I have, and by the way, I've never done this before. I don't come up, with everybody here, the confidence, the support, the love. That gave me to come up here. Thank you all. No, the pleasure of having this right here. But this is what I want to, friends, loved ones, and family. It is an honor and privilege for my brother Gus and my sister Irene, who are here with me today, to pay a tribute to a very special person in our life, our brother Bill. My name is Sophia, Bill's sister. As I look around here today, I see the love, support, the warmth from the church, and from the church that he would call brothers and sisters, to family members and friends. We thank each and every one of you here today. Yes, we do. Okay. I know that you too will miss the friendship that my brother brought into our lives. I know all will remember Bill in your own special way. We are also here in behalf of my other family members who are unable to be here with us today. And they are Bill's sister, Marika, my other sister, Athena, who lives in England. Excuse me. and my 91, bless his heart, father, 91 years old, who has Irene's husband, who is in his care. And we thank Larry. Thank you, Larry. And also my brother-in-law Larry, and my nephew Dimitri. We are here on their behalf. We will remember you through many people still left behind, while those you touched so positively. You may not realize it, Bill, but you will leave an amazing legacy, not only your life. 2 beautiful sons, Timothy and James. Timothy and James. Through them, you will leave the world a better place than when you found it. And for that, you have to be so proud, Bill. Bill, it is very hard to say goodbye. So we'll say so long. The pages of your book will never be closed, just as the pages of those who left us. Like my mother, my brother John, my nephew Lab, and my sister-in-law Carol. Their books have never been closed. We will miss you, my wonderful brother. Your unique, contagious laugh will always stand out. We will miss you, Bill. Thank you.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
And again, thank you all for being here.
Amen.
The Sakellariou family, back in the 60s, I remember we had a restaurant. And my brother and I, Andre, we grew up here in downtown Edmonton. And I still remember Bill, a little guy. I mean, we were young teenagers, mid-teens. And the hangout for the young guys downtown was in front of the Hudson Bay. And I don't know, do you remember those days? And there was Bill. Even then, he was such a friendly guy. I still remember a little hat and laugh. And who would have known then that my brother Andre and I and Bill were serving together in the Father's house? Way back then, none of us were saved or knew the Lord. We were just young teenage kids downtown. But I remember the Sakellariou family, and I really even remember then appreciating Bill. But in recent days, I remember your Uncle George, too. Right? He's still there? Yeah. You know, I served a lot with Bill, especially in recent years. And I have to say, out of everybody, I felt more comfortable with Bill than you. He was a real human being.
Amen.
Real genuine. And you never had to put on anything when you were with him. You could just, be at ease. So I'm really going to miss our brother. And I'm so happy to see Sakellariou family. That's all I got.
Amen.
You know, I was so nervous. I wanted to finish one more paragraph, and I just noticed while sitting down that I wanted to share this last paragraph. Yes. It says, "We saw Bill as a Christian family man. He loved his beautiful wife Linda with all of his heart, and his 2 sons, Timothy and James. He loved his family profoundly. He was a devoted husband, son, father, uncle, brother, and friend. As I reach out for all these words for Bill, we love you. We'll never forget you."
Amen.
My name is Louis. I'm
Timothy is my best friend. I got to see and experience Bill's warmth and generosity, as you said, his open doors, laughter. Linda's been a mother to me as well. I've been able to come up here on the weekend and spend time with the family. Me and Tim wrote something that was all from Tim's experiences with I read it. It's right now. So when I say I or my dad or my mom, just picture Tim. Thank you to the close families for traveling from east to west, from south to north, to commemorate the life of my father, Bill Sakellariou. Thank you to the church family, brothers and sisters that supported and continues to support our family as part of the church body. Thank you to all friends and relatives of our families. Thank you to all who have come to celebrate the laughter that was my father. He's the open invitation that always left smiles on people's faces. In reflecting on my dad, I realized 4 major themes that stood out to me about my dad. One that has been reiterated many times, laughter. Another thing, his faith. His true love for his wife and his family. And being a strong man. Basically his greatness, right? Which didn't cost that, really. And Irene and Sophia, I really saw that as part of the family. So we'll speak on his laughter quickly. I remember how when anyone would come and introduce themselves to me, they would look at me as if I was my dad, and then they would always say, "You look like Bill." I'll always remember his laugh. And I have to say that even this week, in just introducing myself to the people that are part of your family, that is the one thing that everyone is saying. His laughter was infectious. Everyone was affected by him. He lit up a room, the life of the party. I remember when we were kids, we'd go to restaurants and my dad would start telling a joke that was funny. But before the punchline, he would start laughing. This unmistakable laugh that would start a chain reaction of laughter that would get the whole restaurant. The funniest part was that he would think he'd said the funniest joke, but he hadn't even said the punchline. I moved out when I was 18 years old. It had been 20 years since I lived with my dad. When I moved in with my dad, it was just us, because my mom was in Smoky Lake. I got to learn more about my dad than I had ever known. He would tell me stories of his life, show me the depth of his life experience and the context of his love and his faith. It was so nice to do things for my father that gave him and my mom the opportunity to be who they were without stress. I learned how people who were truly in love and how a man who had struggled, found redemption, and lived in peace and fulfillment can be. I wanted to give my parents the opportunity to spend time together because I had spent so much time away. In fact, in my own life, I traveled the world to secretly inspire my dad to visit Greece again. I learned how strong my dad is and how Greek he was. He was always positive and would never let people know his struggle, a sign of a strong character, to such an extent that he would prevent us from worrying and take pain upon himself before it was too much. He would sacrifice even to his own detriment. What can I say? That is Greek. To all those who have known my father, they would know that his faith was a major part of his life. In an age of faithlessness, he was a living symbol of how faith transforms and sustains a life, a marriage, and a family. He continues to inspire even after his departure, which means he will never leave us, and he was always there in the laughter, in the sharing of faith, and in the continued life lived to honor God. I remember how we would take hippie songs and turning them into gospel songs, which shows how he was always looking to connect with others and find a way to share his light with them. And I can say that truthfully, he was always able to connect. Every time I came over to the house, I was always greeted by his smile and welcoming in. He felt like a father. He would always come into the house all happy and dancing, and this is something that Linda told us. When you're walking with the Lord, you don't get bored. And when my mom would ask me about my faith, I'd just say, "But I'm not bored, Mom." Just jokes. My dad's legacy lives in his impact on a wide spectrum of people through his lived and genuine walk of faith. And as we can see here, the beautiful cross-section of the whole world is in this room, which really says how much he spoke beyond boundaries or borders. My dad had 2 best friends in his life. His older brother, Gus, Costa, and the love of his life, my mom, Linda. Gus is like the Godfather. He would always say that Gus always dressed gangster. I would say after looking at old pictures, Dad, you dress gangster too. Then he would say, that's because I was wearing Gus's clothes. My dad and Gus were always inseparable. I gotta say, after meeting him yesterday, even after one day, he lived up to all expectations. Blew it out of the park. A real testament to my dad's heart and faith is when Gus told him how he wanted to meet God 2 weeks before his passing. To show me the impact of my dad's living faith on even the most gangster of people. Real evidence of his real faith. I learned real lasting love from my dad, which was such a real awakening to what is possible between two hearts. When Mom and Dad, this is a story that sounds so. When Mom and Dad, they went to a really nice restaurant in Vancouver. And my dad took a bottle of wine and a meal each. And the waiter knew that my dad didn't have lots, but he was backing my dad. That was one of the first stories that my dad told Tim when I moved in. Gus would always say, Linda, Billy Ray really loved you. I'm trying to do it good. Not as good as Tim. I really got to see how close they were when I moved in. I would give them space to be together by doing the stuff that gave them breath to see each other again like they always were. My dad would say, you cook? You clean? No one does that. And then he had time to just spend with my mom. After a life of serving his family, it was an honor and a pleasure to give him that. They'd always start singing and being incredibly silly together, especially when I brought a bottle of wine home. Just pure love, you know? When my dad was having his stroke, and the EMT asked him the story. And the EMT asked him, do you remember your wife's name? In his last moments before unconsciousness, unable to speak, he was still able to say, that's my sweetie. In a generation of broken homes and a lack of love, it was beautiful to witness true love. Built on faith, struggle, and redemption. My dad showed me the true power of love beyond any boundary of human ideology. It was so real and true love. If God is love, then I truly saw it live in the life, words, and actions of my father, even at the last moment. This is for love.
My name is Dennis Lowen, and I first met Bill. I was in grade 8, first just came to Canada, and stayed at his cottage with James and Tim. And we wanted to stay on that farm because we'd moved from a farm and moved to the city. But we had to leave, you know, this hospitality for the weekend. But later on, I came here in college as a student and went to U of A, and Bill anyways, he really touched me of his love for the Lord. He would tell me in these college meetings, he found a new way to listen to the Bible. And he would tell me how he converted this text file, you know, PDF, into an audio with some lady speaking it to him. And he could listen to it wherever he was. And it really impressed me as a college student that he loved the Lord Jesus. So this happened not just once, it happened again and again. He found an upgraded version of how to get a better exact reading of that text. So that really impressed me. And last Friday when I heard about it, my wife and I were driving from Montreal to Toronto. And again, the first thing my wife said is, I'm going to miss his laugh. 3 hours later, I was on a flight coming here because the effect Brother Bill had on our life, and I know all of you, And this morning I read a verse in John chapter 11 where Mary, Brother Alan mentioned this, Mary was the one who wiped the Lord's feet. In John 11, the same Mary is in the house. And Jesus says to her, I am the resurrection and the life.
Amen.
He who believes into me, even if he should die, shall live. This is what the Lord spoke. Our brother is physically dead, but he shall live.
Amen.
Because he is the resurrection life.
Amen.
So anyone, if we believe this, if we believe in the Lord Jesus, we will be raised from the dead.
Amen.
This is the word he spoke to us. This is what even Mary, in instance, was thinking, okay, in the last day, everyone's going to be raised from the dead. But the Lord didn't say in the last day. He said right now. And as I heard this last week, the testimonies of how Bill finished his course, he lived resurrection life in his death situation. He wasn't waiting for the last day. You know, he would get the blood transfusion, and then he would be with the saints. Right? So he lived resurrection life moment by moment. What a pattern our brother left for us.
Amen.
My name is Peter. I'm from the church in Coquitlam, and David together. Two of us had a privilege to come here to Edmonton for a college conference just about 2 months ago. And we stayed at Brother Bill's place. And both of us, we were very much shepherded by our brother. Although we're coming here supposed to share messages on the conference, but both of us are very much encouraged and shepherded by him. At his house, he will pray with us, and he will pray for us.
Amen.
And I really see him as a pattern. You know, one of the first, actually the first question when I had a chance to fellowship with him is he asked me, how's the campus work in Vancouver? At first, I was a bit surprised because I wouldn't expect that would be the first question. But as I started to fellowship with him, he will ask me, you know, how many students, who are the full-timers, how's the work, everything. I realized that he's been praying for this work on campus. And I realized perhaps he's also giving to support this work. And in fact, later on, when I returned to Vancouver, it was confirmed by the brother that him and the church in Edmonton has been faithfully giving to support this work throughout all these years.
Amen.
You know, within me, I just felt, it just reminded me this one point in this recent Ezekiel training, in ourselves we shall be small, but the will beside us, that is the move of God's economy, should be high and awesome.
Amen.
Our brother is a small brother, but beside him there is the high and awesome will.
Amen.
Anyway, actually, in our conversation, I also come across this matter of the Coquitlam meeting hall that we'll be purchasing right now, basically. And his immediate reaction is, oh, quickly, send us a letter. We will fellowship and we will see what we will do. And within me, I was so comforted as a young brother learning to serve the Lord. I see such a pattern who love the body and who care for the body.
Amen.
And on the Lord's Day morning, as he was driving us to the meeting hall, I will be giving a message concerning the upper room consecration. But then, in the car ride, he started singing, "No mortal tongue can ever describe the freedom of the soul." You know, I was behind it, at the back seat. I was actually in tears because I see there is a pattern who is living in the reality of consecration. Amen. And I remember so distinct, like clearly his prayer. He said, you know, the verse says, "Arise, a holy bargain strike, the fragment for the whole." Amen. And he said, "Lord, what we gave up is just fragment. Actually, what we gave up is nothing. Instead, in return, we got the whole." Amen. Oh Lord, praise the Lord for such a pattern among us. Amen. He lived the reality of consecration and in the upper room, which will bring the Lord back.
Amen.
Amen. My first impression of Brother Bill, as so many of you shared, was his spirit. It was buoyant. it was as if nothing could hold him down. And I realized there's something behind, right, that kind of living. Actually, when Peter and I first came, it was only a few days later we found out that Brother Bill had so many health problems. When I first met him, I had no idea. He was so energetic. He was so bright. And then when I found out, I couldn't believe it, that when going through that kind of thing, that our brother could live such a life in resurrection. He was living by another source, and we all saw it. The love, the care, his every word and action, it was from a different source. He was living, his living was a living of resurrection life. It was the living of Jesus again. I was very much touched. In that same car ride, as we were off to the meeting, him and Sister Linda began to sing. And immediately my spirit was uplifted. We began to sing, and when we came into the meeting, it was as if we were already in the third heavens. We could enter so easily. And I thank the Lord for such a pattern. Even in just a few days that we spend with Him, we realize this is the kind of life that I want to live. This brother, there is a secret he has. Right? And that was that he loved the Lord Jesus. And in his living, he expressed the Lord.
Amen.
And that's why he's impacted so many of us by ministering that life to us.
Amen.
My name is Timothy Chen. So many things has been said, and I just thanks and praise the Lord for the Lord give us such a precious brother in this path. And I just want to share a few things that so many have been shared. And our brother really, he's rejoicing in the Lord, and his laugh, it's not laugh, he prayerful. And you tell, if you want to get revived, just come to see Brother Bill. Oh, and then one thing, I don't know, you have been hugged by him. Brother Bill loves to hug, but his hug very special. His two arms will stretch out and like that. Not just like that, hold and then we shake. That's our brother. And he's so genuine and so simple. And lovely brother. And and he really cared for, especially for the new ones and the young ones. And then I remember one time I visited him, and he was in the hospital, and he didn't expect I would visit him. And then when I walked in, and then he was starting or listen to him. And then he said, "Wow, how was that couple got saved a couple of weeks ago?" And he referred to actually brother David and Grace, a couple. Anyway, so and then I said, "Well," I said, "they enjoyed the Lord so much." And I came to see Brother Bill, and end up with he started to pray for the couple. Oh, this is a brother. And then another thing is I had a privilege last year, the whole year when he has health issue, but we are in the group together, the brother training together. So Brother Bill and I were only two in this group, and with the time he's traveling and in my schedule, so we end up with we study during the late night every week, right? So the brother really shaped me so much. A lot of things, brother actually he had a lot of experience, and then a lot of time he studied with praying for younger brother. He really has such a burden to see the younger brother. They can pick up the responsibility and then to serve the church and to serve the Lord. And the brother really is a pattern of Jesus Christ, crazy love of Jesus Christ. And he loved the Lord, he loved the church, and he loved all the saints. Amen. So brother finish his course, but he set such a pattern for us, to follow. And he's now among the crowd of the witnesses, to pray for us and to encourage us. May we all continue, to love the Lord day by day, more and more each day, And the one day we are going to see the brother again, meet the brother again, and we just say, thank you, Brother Bill. Thank you for your encouragement. Thank you for your shepherding. Oh, we love the Lord together. We're going to enjoy the Lord for eternity. Amen.
Amen.
March 10th, Sister Janine moved to the church house here. He and Linda, he was driving a truck with Linda and have the movie. I mean, I was kind of worried about him. He's, we already knew his situation, but try to let him not lift the stuff, from moving. And then he always tried to do, I said, Brother Bill, you wait, we can do it. So we started 2 o'clock, and Noel and Carmen help us load all the stuff in the truck, and they had to go to Calgary. So I drove Sister Jen to this house and follow his truck. So then when we arrived to the church house, of course, he helped to move the little things. 3 o'clock, I pick my 2 boys from school, and they have a little bit. And they said, Mom, what's wrong with Brother Bill's eyes? Because the eyes already red and some problem in the eyes, I said, because Brother Bill is sick. Oh, he still have the moving. I said, yes, you guys do more, let him do less. And then I was happy in the kitchen. I had to settle down the bed and the kitchen, and then he disappeared. I said, Linda, where is he? And Linda said, I don't know where is he. Then I kind of worry about it. Later, maybe 20 minutes, half hour later, he came back. He went to Roma to get the doormat for Sister Jen. And I said, Brother Bill, you can wait, we can wait. He said, I'm fine, I'm okay. He always, feels so strong. And we have there until 7 or 7:30. Then we all went home. He went with Sister Linda. He said, yes, Linda, we have to go, we need dinner. So my impression is he's not only the really enjoyer of the Lord, but he has the spirit of sleep to help. Even that moment, March 10th, that's, he was really sick, but he still have the sister moving.
Amen.
I was thinking, he's a leading brother. He should command some younger brother to move. And he doesn't have to do it by himself, right? He's a leading brother, but he did it by himself. Praise the Lord.
Amen.
Everything that's been said in this meeting, I can agree with it, and I can amen to that. His laughter, his love, his faith. During my time growing up in Edmonton, it was a regular occurrence for me. I saw it every time I came to the meeting on the Lord's Day. Sister Daisy Wan couldn't be present today, but she was impressed by a testimony Brother Bill gave back in January, I believe, during the baptism of Sister Mindy. On behalf of her, I'd like to share it today as best as I could hear it. Realization of baptism that I had entered into a union with the Lord. It was the start of eternity with my life with the Lord. It's been that way since. There's no other way to tell the story. No other way to define my experience. I'm sure you are all the same. We have the Lord's lovable person, and yet He's our God, and yet He's everything to us.
Amen.
My name is Jonathan. I'm from the church in Calgary, but I first met Bill when I was a student at the U of A here about 10 or 11 years ago. My wife first met Brother Bill when I brought her to Edmonton to meet the saints here, and we had just started dating, and we were trying to be very discreet. And I came into the meeting, and we had it set so she would come in about 2 minutes later. And right after the bread breaking meeting was done, Brother Bill said, "I think Jonathan has an announcement." There's no more discretion. I remember Brother Bill as a pattern of someone who had the tongue of the instructed. And that's from the verse in Isaiah 50, verse 4. It says, "The Lord Jehovah has given me the tongue of the instructed, that I should know how to sustain the weary with a word. He awakens me morning by morning. He awakens my ear to hear as an instructed one." So an instructed one is someone who has a touch with the Lord every day, to receive a supply, to have a supply to give to others. And I remember a conversation that I had with Brother Bill about 9 years ago, and I had been wondering for a while about the ground of the church, and I wasn't clear. What is the Lord's Recovery just another denomination or another group? So I just said to Brother Bill, "How do we know if the Lord's Recovery is just another denomination?" And he had a very brief answer. It was a short conversation, and he just said, "If you look at church history and if you look at all the groups on the earth today, many have different degrees of the truth, different level of understanding of the truth. But what you have to look for is where the Lord has put his name." And that's based on Deuteronomy 12:5, where it says, "But to the place which Jehovah your God will choose out of all your tribes, to put his name, to his habitation shall you seek, and there shall you go." This was a simple word, and it came in such a living way, because Brother Bill was in contact with the Lord. And so there was the supply. The light just shone on me, and it brought in the conviction, and it brought in the life supply. Very simple, but yet full of life. And as a pattern of someone who's an overcomer, this is the kind of pattern we need. Someone who has the supply and the food to give to the ones that the Lord has put next to him. So I'm thankful to the Lord to have known Brother Bill.
Amen.
My name is Fred Basa. I've known Brother Bill for 11 years. When we first came to Edmonton with my children, he was the first brother that I was able to get in touch with. We are new in Edmonton and we don't know where to go, we don't know where the church is. And we wanted to have a church life. And it was Brother Bill who assisted us. He was so patient with Sister Linda to bring us to the church here in this, to join the meeting. And they've been doing that for almost every Lord's Day. And even on prayer meetings and young people meetings, Sister Linda and Brother Bill will drive my children to those meetings. But as much as I am trying, this is a personal testimony about myself and what Brother Bill did to me or influenced me or encouraged me then, and even now that he passed away, he is still doing it in my life. So there are many things that happen to my life that without Brother Bill's encouragement, probably I might have gone astray. Brother Bill is a very, very loving brother. He encourages you, and you can ask him or tell him anything. So one time, I asked him, "Why is this happening to me?" It is as if the Lord have forsaken me. But there's one thing that our brother told me, and I can never forget it. The Lord will never forsake you.
Amen.
He will never do that. You might forsake him or leave him, but he will not. And that is what is happening in my life today. It's been 11 years. I am a work of the Lord, Brother Bill, in progress. God was so merciful